All right, everybody, welcome. This is our third GACRAO virtual talk. This one is going to be on transitioning back to campus. Some of us have not transitioned back to campus yet, like Columbus State University. That is forthcoming, but for a lot of schools across the state of Georgia, they have. And so we have quite a few people here today, which is really exciting. So we'll just go around and introduce ourselves. And I guess also just say if your school has transitioned back to the office. So again, Taylor King, Columbus State. We have not transitioned back to campus working on site, but we will here in the next few weeks. So we're very eager to get back.
Caitlin Sampson, ABAC. We go back, we've been kind of rotating since June 1, and then we go back, the whole office goes back on Monday.
Piedmont is the same as that. I'm Brenda Boonstra, Director of Undergraduate Admissions at Piedmont. I've been here the whole time pretty much just because I could, but we did the same thing. A few started rotating in June 1st and everybody's back June 15th.
I'm Lizzie Whitehead. I'm also from ABAC, and we come back Monday.
Rusty Hassel, Dean of Enrollment Management at Point University. We started some staff back June 1st, kind of on a volunteer essential need basis.
Paul, are you there?
Yes, this is Paul Parker. I'm the registrar at Kennesaw State University. We actually started back today with staff coming back into the office and being able to see students.
Cool. So welcome everybody. If anybody else comes to join us, we'll let them in as well. There's no real formal discussion here. It's more of just sharing ideas. You know, what's been successful, what struggles or hurdles have you faced so far, what are you most worried about? So I guess for those of you who have been back, have you seen an influx of students eager to get back to campus or to visit you guys?
So at ABAC, we opened up our tours on June 1. We started doing those just one group at a time. So we're doing it twice a day for one family. And we've been full ever since we opened it up. So it seems like students are eager to come back, but we haven't had walk-in traffic like we usually do. I'm not sure if it's because they think we're closed or they don't want to come in, but we're not near as busy with just general traffic as we usually are.
We opened up for tours, on-campus tours last Monday, and only at 10 and 2. And we do personal tours anyway, so it's usually just one family. And we really limited their number of guests they were, you know, we recommended they take. And then we do a remote tour at noon, and every single 10 and 2 has been taken through probably this or next week, I think. So it does seem like people are anxious to get back to normal. I met with a family yesterday with my, mask on, and I hate those things. And so we were sitting 6 feet apart. We rearranged some furniture and those kind of things. And I just asked them, I said, they didn't have masks on. I said, do you mind if I take mine off? Because we were sitting way more than 6 feet apart. So We're just kind of going with the flow. We did have some walk-in traffic though, weirdly yesterday, but we managed. It was more mistakes than that they just ended up here on purpose. But we dealt with it.
Yeah.
We've only opened up to staff. We have not opened up to guests at all. We're hoping for beginning of July to start allowing campus tours, so trying to prepare for that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, from Kennesaw State, I mean, we're opening to right now for students, but for tours, I don't foresee us doing tours until at least July at this time. We're still looking at doing the virtual tours is what we're doing for our students from an admission standpoint.
Are you seeing a lot of walk-in traffic at KSU?
Well, today was really our first day. We've had a couple on the registrar side and a few on the financial aid side, and we haven't notified the students. So they're probably still thinking we're closed when we've never been really closed. The media labeled that, but we've updated our websites to just let students know that we are really open now and that we're able to see students. We're trying to drive students by appointment if possible. But we're also going to have students come in because we delete next week. And so our reinstatement process, we've moved to virtually through the DocuSign process, so students don't need to come in. But we have the students who are used to being able to walk through the process that we expect to come in.
Paul, I have a question or two for you. So, for your offices, I'm assuming y'all are y'all meeting in your offices? Do y'all have face shields? What are you guys doing there?
Yeah, we've got a rotunda, so we've got 6 stations on the registrar side, 6 stations on the financial aid side. So what we have is the plexiglass. For those who've kind of been in the Home Depot, some of the areas where you've got a plexiglass, it's got a cutout where students can list the documents or hand off the documents. They can do that. We've done that. And then we've got the hand sanitizers and the wipes out there. We have a queuing system. So we're telling students to queue in via text. So then we can call them in via text. We're trying to limit to about 12 students or 12 individuals in the rotunda between financial aid and registrar. So that when we've got spots or circles throughout the rotunda where people can stand while waiting, if we get more than that, we're going to ask them to walk throughout the building or wait outside until they're texted in to be seen by a staff member.
And are you guys individually sanitizing your office spaces once the student leaves?
Well, we're not going to have them in our actual office. We'll
In those
see.
spaces.
So we're going to, because our offices are technically not big enough. So we're telling my staff in the back who need to see a student, like veterans, tuition classification, immunizations, that they all have to go out to the rotunda and meet with that student with that at that station with the plexiglass there. And then we've got the cleaning staff who will come in and wipe down the plexiglass once or twice a day.
Okay. That's good info.
How are you all like getting your supplies? Because I know we've been trying to get it from the health center and they're like 3 months on back order right now. So where are you personally purchasing, or how is that working?
We were given information for our staff to send to, I guess, procurement or facilities or contact on our campus who's going to be getting face masks, hand sanitizer wipes, hand sanitizer. So now that doesn't guarantee we'll get it. I mean, we're sending in the requests, but that's who we were geared to go to, is through someone on our staff or campus who is going to be getting that for our office.
What staff was given a mask, facility management or whatever was able to get 500 of them. So we were given those. We purchased some disposable ones for visitors in case they didn't come with one. And those are almost gone, even though nobody took them. I don't know if housekeeping picked them up on our way, because we had them in individual little baggies. And so I'm not sure how we're going to resupply that. But like our hand sanitizer is all of our personal that we just happen to have at home or whatever, other than we did get some off Amazon, like a gallon of it.
Right.
It was like a 4-week process, but.
We've told all our staff to purchase their own face masks, but we're going to provide those who, I guess, didn't plan accordingly. To be honest with you, our biggest issue are the number of staff members who are asked to come back to the office but are submitting requests through HR to work from home. So that's cutting down our workforce to actually be in the office to see students.
Do you think those requests will be granted?
I think the majority are going to be, but I've got some that I think will be denied because I just think the staff person doesn't meet the high risk criteria, doesn't have children, is not in the categories and really just likes working from home. So they saying they're anxious, concerned, but I don't know how that's, if it's approved, I'll be surprised.
Right, right. I had talked about that with my boss, that, I could see that happening. A lot of people going, well, we worked the past 3 months at home and it didn't, hey, why can't we do that all the time?
Yeah.
Right, that's exactly what I'm getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just puts so much stress on the people that are coming in to offer services, face-to-face services, and it's a slippery slope.
Yes.
Gwen, if you will introduce yourself and tell us what school you're from.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gwen Cratian. I'm the Director of Admissions for Georgia College.
Awesome. Welcome. And are you guys back on campus yet, or it's still at home?
We are slowly phasing back in. So next week will be the first week that the supervisors will start going back in. And then the following week is when we'll start phasing in our team.
Mm-hmm.
So we have our facilities team that's supposed to be going around putting plexiglass up and all of those different things. And of course, we're gathering all the face masks and things for the visitors for whenever we'd start actually opening up for guests, which I think is supposed to be the week of the 29th technically, but I don't know that we're going to actively be promoting them coming in until we for sure have everything with all of the hand sanitizer.
Mm-hmm.
And what school were you at? Sorry.
Georgia College in Milledgeville.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that is great info. I know the majority of us here are admissions people, so a lot of our questions are probably, geared towards like campus tours and how we're implementing those. So I know one thing that we're doing is we're giving priority to our accepted students who haven't toured campus yet. Is that something everyone else is doing, or are we isolated there?
That's what we did initially with an invitation, but of course on the website, you can't really say that. So, we had to, I think the verbiage was edited about 17 times before everybody actually approved what could be on the website, because one would think it was too restrictive and it sounded like we didn't want anybody to come, and it took some maneuvering to get everybody on the same page.
Yeah. Any other restrictions that anyone has about campus tours? Or I know, is anyone going to be offering group tours anytime soon? Probably not. No. How about your open house dates in the fall? I know, let's see, ABAC, you guys are planning on moving forward, right, on campus?
We are, after our discussion yesterday, Donna did email the vice president to clarify, because it doesn't sound like anyone else is moving forward with large scale visits. But yes, as of now, we're moving forward with our Stallion Day in November.
We usually do our first preview in towards the end of September, and we haven't set a date, so I don't know.
Yeah, we haven't set dates at all, trying to determine if it's virtual or on site or a combination of the two. So kind of hard to put marketing materials together for that. But I mean, the virtual platform is pretty easy to do multiple times once you have a good platform for that. Gives us a little bit of flexibility there, but still evaluating.
Russ, did y'all do any accepted student events at Point?
So we have what is called Starting Point, which is pretty much every Friday throughout the summer. That's accepted student type events with registration and all that. And we're having to go completely virtual for that. Creating a page very similar in kind of format to what you're doing at Piedmont, with a lot of videos and directions there, but then you get to register to meet with the different departments and set up calendar invites and stuff. So really excited about it. There's a lot going on at Point that's kind of delaying that. We're also transitioning from 16-week semester to 2 8-week terms within the 16 weeks, which means all of academics has to redo their catalogs, and we have to wait for that for registration. So a lot of dominoes.
Yeah. Gwen, I think you were about to say something.
Oh, yes. So I was just going to say we had set a date for our open house events for all of our events, but right now we're just kind of on hold as to what we're going to do. I think we're kind of thinking that maybe we would do multiple mini open houses if there's a certain magic number as to what can congregate in a group. So maybe it a couple times throughout the fall. And then of course, supplement with some virtual open houses as well.
Gotcha. Cool. We at Columbus State are planning on going virtual and hoping that it will be successful. Our accepted student celebrations were all pretty good. But we want something that's a little more polished, I guess, than what our accepted student, I think we all kind of break from prospective students or incoming accepted students because everything happened so quickly. I do think that there has to be some sort of a little bit higher quality programming for what our students are looking for coming in for this next year. I don't think just the grainy Zoom videos are going to cut it anymore. I think they're going to want something a little more higher level. So we're just trying to get everybody on board to do something like that with pre-made videos and still having a theme. It's going to prove difficult, but we're starting now.
So your events will be virtual? You've already decided that?
Yeah, well, we're like 99% sure they're going to be virtual.
Yeah.
We still have the dates held for facilities on campus. We just don't think that either USG policy or CSU policy is going to allow us to do it. It's just not going to be feasible. So we'll see.
So how have your virtual events gone? Because, have they been successful? Have you gotten a lot of people to attend those?
Yeah, so, our largest accepted student event, we had well over, I want to say 150 students attend, which was pretty large. What's that?
How many do you typically have, like your virtual compared to your regular?
That's about the same.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
So we really didn't have much of a drop off. We might have had more unique visitors than that, but consistently throughout the event, it was around 150. We used Zoom. We chose not to use breakout rooms just because we had multiple sessions where they were breaking out, and you can't do multiple breakout rooms for the same person unless you want to do that during the session, and that is pretty time consuming for a number that big. So we just had multiple like Zoom links. So everybody in our office just had a different chat or a different Zoom link they set up for whichever session. And we had a really high yield rate from session to session. So from our first initial session to our third, I want to say we only had like a drop off of 5 students, which we thought was incredible. And that was that was about an hour span. So that worked for us. We'll probably do something similar. Just because that's what we used before. I pitched the idea of Piedmont because you guys spread yours out over a couple of weeks, right? Or like a week or two.
Our summer orientation we did, not our accepted student day.
But yeah, you spread some of those events out over the course of a week or two, which I thought makes it easier to do. Yeah, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Well, yeah, our accepted student day came like 2 weeks after the virus hit. So it was a scramble to, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We suddenly had to make it virtual. So we did do a gigantic Zoom, 195 people or whatever on that particular one. And then we did, like Taylor was saying, we would set up an arts and sciences or a nursing or a business or a sorority or, just all kinds of different things. And we just sent out mass texts, you're being invited to this event, you're being invited to this event. And so we actually had better attendance, I think, at some of our virtual events than we would have, getting them all to campus on the exact same day. So it worked for us. Obviously we always feel like if we can get them on campus and meet people face to face, we have a much better return on investment, but you do what you got to do. And I'm of that age group. I'm much older than all of the rest of you guys that I just think it's amazing that we can even do these things. So it's, you know, it's been pretty cool to be part of it. And I'm behind the scenes, believe me. I just click on those links and talk to people or whatever I have to do. I don't send them out.
Paul, can I ask you a question that has more to do with like classes than what we're talking about here? So I'm assuming you guys are going to be socially distancing in your classroom spaces. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So are you offering more courses, like similar courses at more times, or blending between online and in classroom? How are you guys doing that?
Well, we haven't made a final decision yet. We're looking at moving some courses that can be easily taught online to, we're moving them from face-to-face to online. We're going to move some from face-to-face to hybrid, where it'll be 50% face-to-face, 50% hybrid. So they may be in the classroom one day, virtual the next class opportunity. So that give us more classrooms, so that if we need to have one course but in 2 classrooms being taught at the same time, we can do that, because we've looked at our classroom space, and when you take 100-seat room, you're looking at now about 20 to 25 students in that classroom. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. We're hoping to have final decisions by July 1.
Did the USG give you like a drop date to have that implementation by, to know?
No, they did not, but we know we can't get too close to fall, because some students don't like online courses, and they're probably going to want to be if their course they're in is going to be moved to online, they're going to probably want an opportunity to jump out of that course to find another course that can be face-to-face.
Yeah.
One of the things we were looking at is a lot of the gen ed courses that are for first-time freshmen and first students, to keep those face-to-face for those new students coming to campus, and some of the back-end upper-level courses for continuing students to be more online, because they're more accustomed to it. And they've already gotten some of that college experience and are okay with being virtual. As some of the new students, we have heard they don't want to be virtual. They want to be face-to-face. They want to be here on campus. They want to be in the dorms and in the meal cafeterias and in the student center. So we're trying to make that balance of enough to keep students to come to campus, but still do the social distancing.
Yeah.
The interesting part, I think you all will understand, yeah, we may social distance in the classroom, but then walk out and see them outside, all huddled around, hugging on one another, or
Yeah.
in the dining hall, all sitting together like nothing's going on.
Right. I mean, that's the thing we talked about during the registrar one last week was, okay, we social distance in class, but as soon as class is over, everyone's in the same hallway. Right. So, I mean, they're walking the same halls, and how do so do you stagger releases? I mean, there's just, there's no way to fully do this in a way that, and like you said, the students don't care for the most part. They're just, they're like, okay, it's we're doing this because we have to, not because we want to.
That is exactly right.
So I think, we tend to overworry ourselves, and we're doing it for the safety, of our students, because sometimes we need to help them along, but they're going back to the res halls and hanging out and, jumping all over one another and just doing what they typically do. So.
Yeah, and I had heard in the res halls, instead of having rooms of 4 or apartments of 4, you may only have apartments of 2.
Mm-hmm.
But no one outside apartments are not going to social. If they've started an apartment with 4 people, they're going to allow the 4 people to come in.
That's right.
But those 4 people are then going to walk in our campus, and we're going to try to just burst them and say, "Oh, you can't do all that."
Yeah.
It's
and
crazy.
And do you need res life staff to go in and say, well, you guys aren't staying 6 feet apart?
Well, and I've had people here ask me, what do we say to a student who walks in without a mask? What do we say to people who are not social distancing? I'm like, I don't want to be the social distancing police or the face mask police. So we can say these are recommended. That's what they are. And as long as we got our mask on and our protection, that's all we can ask. Because if we try to tell them they're required and they make a scene, it's not going to be worth it.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I mean, like we have, we're going to limit each campus tour guest to, or each prospective student to 2 guests. Well, what if they show up with 4? What are we kicking them out? Are we saying you can't come? No, they just drove 2.5 hours.
For like on that note, we've been told by our health center we have to take temperatures before the students. Are you all taking temperatures and doing like a little questionnaire and stuff?
We are not.
We're doing a
Okay.
questionnaire. We are checking with our health center on campus to see if doing temperatures is feasible or even something that we want to do. Caitlin, are y'all actually doing it yourselves, or is someone coming over from like the health center?
Because we have scheduled tour times, 9:30 and 2 o'clock, they come over at those scheduled times to do the temperature. They were out the other day, so like they just left the thermometer with us. It's been pretty casual, so they'll either just leave it with us and we do it and write it on their questionnaire, but we were told no one is supposed to be on our campus that hasn't completed the questionnaire or got their temperature taken.
And yesterday we had somebody who came in, they wanted to see housing, and we have these little shields with the ABAC Stallion Shield where they can stand in our office. And then once they leave, it's our job to wipe down any areas that they were around. And it's just, you know, when someone wants to come and shake your hand, that's so odd because you have to reject them. And that's not my customer service skills to tell somebody, I can't shake your hand, you know, I can't smile at you. And I don't want the student to feel awkward, but that's what we have to do right now. And I don't want to be responsible to bringing that home with me and get other people that I love sick. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, but we do have some people coming around campus and walking around. They want to see housing, and our campus tours are booking and people are wanting to come on campus. So we're trying to allow as many as we can with that.
So are y'all allowing guests to come into the residence halls? You are? Okay, because I don't know that we're going to be able to do that.
There's no students right now in Lakeside, and there's a few in our upperclassmen dorms, but in the fall we're going to have to do some kind of protocol so they don't cross paths with our students.
Yeah, because right now they're like our freshman hall is empty during the summertime, and that's for any summer. Any students that live on campus move up to upperclassmen, so it's not an issue right now. They just wipe down door handles and stuff, but it's not. There's no cross contamination in the residence halls.
So Gwen, I have a question for you because you guys have your traditional part of campus, and then you have the part of campus where other people, like where your students live, right? So on campus tours, do y'all typically show both?
We do. We typically would show the regular residence halls that are right there on campus, and then we would shuttle them out to West Campus to show them all of West Campus. So I know we, like you all, are planning on limiting the number of guests. So we're saying 2 as well. And I don't know, we're kind of looking at it as, how many people would we be able to space out 6 feet apart in our presentation room, and still on the shuttles, it'd be spaced out. So I don't know what that number is going to look like. We'll go in on Monday and start spacing things out to see. But if we end up not being able to take them into the residence halls, we probably would still take them out to West Campus because that's where our recreation facilities are.
So with that, do you anticipate you guys still shuttling them there yourselves, or because we have the 2 campuses and we're saying, we're making it very clear that we will not provide transportation between the 2. Just because of it's an added layer, right? It's just something else we have to sanitize. We're putting a bus driver in jeopardy. I mean, it's just something we can cut out. So I just didn't know if that's something y'all were talking about too.
No, I don't think we had looked that far into the whole sanitation of the buses and everything. I know housing was concerned with. Have students that are out there and just the number of going back and forth on the bus, but for tours we hadn't really said that we wouldn't, but that's something I'll have to bring up.
All right, I didn't mean to cause another problem or another issue for you, but like I think Rusty and I were emailing, and I said this during our first virtual talk, every time you solve a problem, every time you solve something, another problem comes up. And the onion just continues to peel back. And it's it's like, well, I didn't think about that, and I didn't think about that. And yeah, it's never ending, and we can worry ourselves to death.
Yeah.
Julia, say hello, and where you're from. Oh, she's not connected. She's not connected. Her audio is not connected. Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying that's the same issue we're having is like the meeting I had this morning in the rotunda with my staff and guards are trying to cover everything. And we haven't thought of everything, and I tried to tell my staff to be adaptable and not think what we've provided you as law that we're going to have to adapt from it and move. These are guidelines. We got to be able to try to accommodate students, but also try to keep, like Lizzie said, keep our staff safe as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the key part, is trying to keep everybody safe, but we haven't thought of everything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even letting people know, like if we have campus tours, if we're going in a building, what time we'll be in that building, but trying to schedule something out that exact, it can be difficult because we all know, like a student wants to stop and ask a question about something particular, that can delay you 5 to 10 minutes, right? So trying to proceed forward and staying on that schedule. Is anyone doing a live virtual tour of campus?
We have opportunity through our virtual preview page where you can set up a meeting with a counselor, and it's not they're walking around showing you, but we have video tour and Zoom session opportunities where we can show them the tours around and then have that live conversation.
Okay.
We attempted when all of this first started in March.
Mm-hmm.
We did invites for a virtual, session, and Tanisha tried walking them around. She only had 2 students take her up on the offer though, so I don't know if they felt awkward being one-on-one.
Okay.
But yeah, it wasn't successful, so we haven't continued with it.
That's good to know, because that's something we were kicking around to try to lower the number of people to come onto campus.
Which you're a much larger school, so I imagine you get much more visitors as well. So you could have a different, but no, our attempt was not successful.
Okay. We're going to try it. We're going to start doing it one day a week and see how that goes. Start when we get our staff back on campus. So.
We started doing them when it all started too, and we did Zoom calls with an admission advisor like this. If we could get a professor to participate, we would do that. And then one of our student workers would pull up the campus map and literally walk them around and, tell them whatever they would have told them if they had been actually walking around. And it's worked well for us.
Okay.
Like I said, we do all these individualized tours anyway, not a group. So it's a kind of different dynamic.
Gotcha. Cool. Is there anything that anybody else wants to talk about, or any questions that anyone in the group has for everyone
Did
else?
you see Julia's question, Taylor? She put
Oh, there it is. Is there any way to call in? There is not. I'll type back to her.
Okay. Have most of the schools decided what's happening in the fall? Or I know, Paul, you talked about, moving some classes online, vacation, our fall break, Thanksgiving.
We have,
what they're doing?
our cabinet approved a new academic calendar last week. So we'll begin as scheduled August 12th. We will not do a Labor Day break or a fall break this year, and final exams will be the week before Thanksgiving, so students will not return after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Wow.
We've tossed that around, but nothing has been approved yet. I mean, I submitted my recommendations that were we would either start on August 3rd or August 10th and finish by Thanksgiving. The other model was we start on the 17th, but we end by Thanksgiving, and we cut out some class time, but where they make it up outside of the classroom like that. But our president and provost haven't approved anything at this time. I'm assuming it's coming though.
Piedmont is planning on starting as usual again, August 10. We didn't talk about Labor Day, but I know fall break was canceled, and then students will leave campus when they leave for Thanksgiving and not come back, but classes will finish online, exams, whatever. So, because we always had done that first week of December anyway.
Point, we're starting August 26th. So a little bit later, but at this point with the 8-week sessions within the 16-week semester, that puts us done with the first session at the end of October. So it gives us a little bit of flexibility if we need to adapt modalities at any point, but then we're also planning on not having students return after Thanksgiving, just continuing online.
So Rusty, with the 2 8-week terms, is every class going to be an 8-week term, or will there be everything divided up between 16 and first 8 weeks and second 8 weeks?
Primarily, there'll be 8 and 8, but there will be some 16-week courses. So I think they're still trying to figure that out because that was decided like April, maybe early May. So getting it all figured out now.
Good. Any other questions that anyone has just to throw out there?
I'm curious about virtual preview days. We did, I thought, a lot of good things to try to get people engaged in virtual preview days, and we got little to no interaction. But I've heard that they've been very successful for other schools. So I'm just kind of curious if you've had success, what made it successful?
We haven't hosted a virtual preview day. We've just done our regular information session, but nothing large scale. When we had our admitted student like socials that we've done via Zoom, but nothing elaborate or anything. So we'll have to tap into that.
The ones that I've heard from schools like across the country reading blogs have been very either program specific, try and do something smaller. So because you can make it your own, right? It's not necessarily an all call. So more targeted in smaller groups because you can connect students with one another a little easier rather than something larger. But that's just what I've read. And if I find those articles, I'll email them to you. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see because we're planning on doing the large scale, and just trying to see what the yield will be like. How do we capture the information of the students who have come? With our accepted student, we did 2 accepted student days. The first one, we just went through and wrote people's names down. That was not a good idea because some people, it said, T Daddy's iPhone. And well, who is that, right? So the second time we did a Google form that we sent out beforehand and had students self-log in. We still didn't capture everybody, but we feel like it was a better number than before. So, hello, Julia.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm calling in from Gwinnett Technical College, and I'm actually in the office. So my question to you guys were, have you guys transitioned back to the office yet?
Yeah, so probably half of us have and half of us have not. You're the only technical college representative here, so that's good to know that you guys have started going back. Is it your full office is back on campus?
No, half and half. I do 2 days a week, Monday and Wednesday, and then the rest come in Tuesday, Thursday.
And how long have you guys been back?
Second week.
Okay. And that's system-wide or just your campus?
Maybe just our campus. I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I see we admission received an unofficial
Question, I don't know how much y'all have gotten into this, but we're now with like NAIA and NCAA coming out with their dates on when teams can start practicing. Athletes are coming out the bid to get on campus. So both athletes and regular students, are you having any kind of process in place for getting them back? Are you quarantining them or requiring a test, a negative test before they come back? Or?
Because right now admissions only have an unofficial transcript.
We have not discussed that.
No, we haven't either.
But
I'm
yeah,
sure, like for the schools that it's a big issue are going to be the football schools, right? So your guys, Kennesaw, because you got to come back. They haven't been practicing. They usually have, spring ball and then starting back in the summer.
They're coming back, but football and the basketballs. But we're putting the onus on athletics and their sports medicine staff on bringing those students, athletes back to campus and how they're going to monitor. Because I think the NCAA gave them set guidelines on what they're to do when bringing those students back. And then we also have our guidelines based on what the USG and CDC have said. So I haven't heard anything. I just know I worked with certifying our student athletes for summer and fall. But they'll return to campus. The onus of that in regards to testing, accommodations is all through the athletics department.
Which I know I've heard Auburn and Alabama both were taking different measures and both had student athletes test positive once they were back on campus. So,
Correct.
but what about non-athletes, just bringing students back? Any dialogue on that yet?
Well, we haven't done anything for the summer and bringing them back, but I know we're planning on having housing open and buildings open and all the services open beginning the first day of class on August 17th. Now, like, if we're going to go through and those students coming in on campus, are they going to be tested, temperature and all that? I haven't heard what those guidelines are, and I may not, because that may all be done through housing. But I know the other key factors too is when we bring students back to campus, like for the summer, we waived all the immunization requirements for the new students. But once we get back on the campus, we're going to have to apply the holds for all of the students who have not submitted the immunization requirements as required by the USG. So we'll have that set of students who'll be angry for that, but we're working through that now.
Yeah, so for housing for us, for the past few years, we've done individual appointments where they come in at a certain time to check in. I know one of the more difficult things is we typically, faculty and staff, go and help move students in, right? Carry boxes and all that stuff. I think everyone does that, right? So the discussion is there of, do we continue to do that this year? Because
good point.
of what's going on, do we need to be grabbing student stuff, and does that put our staff and faculty and students in jeopardy of getting the virus? So again, it's just another thing that's like, oh my God, there's that, and there's that. So
I know our house, looking at temperatures and the questionnaire and all that sort of thing, they just wouldn't let us do it for visitors, because it was so unwelcoming, but I guess it's okay for current students. And of course, I don't know that any of theirs has been finalized, because we don't have a lot of students on campus either during the summer. They won't come till, August 6th or whatever. So hopefully within the next month and a half, they'll get all those sorts of things finalized.
We've been told we won't be able to help them with moving in, and I think housing is planning more of a staggered move-in over the course of a few days.
Yes, we which I don't think it's official yet, but typically our move-in is only 2 days, but I think they're stretching it out through all of welcome week, the total 5 or 6 days this year. And I don't know, I don't think they've decided on temperature checks or COVID tests, or I don't think they've made those decisions yet.
Yeah, same here with that. But I was also going to mention, I know our housing team is looking at potentially communicating to students to bring less stuff. I don't know if they're going to get the approval to say that, but just in case there were to be something where there's another outbreak, that's just like mass hysteria and they have to leave, like they won't have that much stuff that they're having to leave with. So they're kind of thinking through that as well.
Really smart, because that was part of the issue when students were leaving in the spring mid-semester was, well, I've got all this stuff and you need to get out. Well, that helps solve a problem if you only got, whatever can fit in the trunk of your car.
Yeah.
Wow. Things I didn't think about.
The amazing thing to me, of course, again, my age, I've never seen things change this fast. I mean, it's just, who would have ever thought this 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago,
Yeah.
that things could change, and not just higher ed. I mean,
Right.
grocery shopping and movies and concert tickets. I was supposed to go see Alexander Hamilton, and right now our tickets are good for August of 2021.
Wow.
We were supposed to go in April, and then it was moved to like August of 2020, and now it's August of 2021.
Yeah. Like I was doing our travel reports for the semester, and I'm like, oh yeah, college fairs. Those were a thing this year, like not that long ago. We were out in schools, and now it just seems so foreign to think that we were just congregating with one another, and there were college fairs with hundreds of people. Well, maybe not in the spring, but there were college fairs where all the colleges were there, and we were high-fiving, hugging each other, and then it just stopped. And here we are.
You bring up a good thing, fall recruitment. Have you started talking about that and what counselors are going to be permitted to do?
Yeah, so there was a conversation that was held yesterday. Tareen from Augusta just asked some people from across the state. I mean, the real answer is there is no answer yet, right? Probe is going to proceed forward as if college fairs are going to go back to normal. And if they cannot, then we will move those probe dates to the spring and not have virtual sessions. I know the state of Virginia, their state fair circuit is going virtual for the entire fall. And they're still ironing out some of the logistics of that. But we're really, what's crazy is we're waiting on the high schools to tell us what to do. But I've had high school counselors and college counselors at the private schools reach out and go, what are you guys' plans? I'm like, whatever you allow us to do is what we're going to do, right? But then there's the flip side of that. If some of our staff is not comfortable going into a school and being around people, what do we do? I mean, do we force them and say, you have to go? If they feel unsafe. So I think it's going to be a mixture of a lot of things, Rusty. I think it's going to be some in person. I think it's going to be some fairs. I think there's going to be a lot of virtual outreach as well. So setting up virtual nights with certain high schools or virtual visits with high schools during the day. I don't know. It's going to be a weird semester. I think there's going to be a lot of partnering up. I think a lot of schools will do virtual things together. So similar to what the Peach State Tour does, where they go around the state, I think there will be colleges, grouping together to try to find ways to do things in numbers. So go ahead, Caitlin.
I was just basically what you just said. I think it's going to be a lot of all of us together, working together, not just the university system, but all of us colleges in Georgia saying like, hey, so-and-so is doing virtual visits. This school is doing them this way, all of that, and making sure we share all that information together.
Mm-hmm.
And I am thankful because Georgia is so good at working together. Mm-hmm. Whereas I also recruit in Florida and they're not near as friendly as all of you guys are.
Well, yeah, I mean, the NACAC fairs have already said they're going virtual, so that's good. But in the same sense, if you've done one of the virtual fairs that's been held this year, they have not been worthwhile and not worth the money. So how do you justify spending the same amount of money for a lot less leads? And when kids have the option of just going on that platform and going to your larger name institutions, because we know that's where they're going to go and congregate to, is it worth schools like ours, Columbus State, to pay that kind of money to have 3 leads and maybe none of them enroll? We got to try it though. We got to do what we can do, but I don't know. I don't know. And, with testing, the students who have taken the test, we purchased a lot of our names from NRCCUA and College Board. Those numbers are going to be, a lot less than what they have been. So finding alternatives, and there's just going to be so many companies coming out of the woodwork, promising things that, $200 and $500, and, None of them have the answer any more than any of us do. It's going to be a lot of broken promises, I think. So, but we'll see.
Just curious, when you started talking about leads, have any of you all heard of the company? It's Circled In. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly.
So one of my assistant director actually just submitted me a proposal from them because they've been pretty persistent in reaching out.
Yes.
And she kind of felt misled because she felt it was kind of a free platform, and then it turned into something more where you pay. And it's another one. It seems to be an app, like a high school student app type system where you can get their info and then they can raise hands and all that stuff. And I've pretty much said I'm not looking at anything until September. So
Yeah.
Gwen, what is your opinion on it?
I'm just up in the air because I don't know what we're going to do if, testing is required for fall 2021. So I think we're just trying to figure that out first before making a decision. With the platform, the way they described it to me is that it was very similar to like LinkedIn. Like they wanted to kind of mimic that and give you all this information about the student. They can put their resume, just everything within there. And I'm just kind of thinking about the quality of the calls that our admissions counselors make. Is that something that they could utilize to have those meaningful conversations if they have this call that has all of this additional stuff? I can't remember what they told me about how many leads they have for Georgia. It might have been like 20,000 right now. I don't think there are a lot of schools in Georgia that are using them though. So I was just kind of curious if, folks had heard about them or not. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, do you really want to take the risk on it? But then if we don't really have anything else, we purchase names through NARCUA, ACT, College Board, and then CapEx, and where they can kind of raise their hands. And same thing with Hobson's, the Naviance platform. So I don't know. I'm still just torn with them right now.
Rusty, one thing I'll say is that Romina from Georgia State, the director there, is putting together or has put together a survey to send out to school counselors to see what kind of visits they're going to allow in the fall, and she's willing to share that with whoever. So if it comes across my desk, I will forward it out to everybody I can, and I'm sure it'll go on the Georgia Finance Facebook page, and it'll circulate because that's going to be a pretty popular resource to own. So, but we'll see. I mean, I really see this as being a year where fall travel, even, the thing is we need to start earlier because if it's going to rear back up, it's going to rear back up in late October, November, December. But not with having not a lot of answers, we may be waiting until late August or early September to hit the road. So we have a really small window to get out there and generate these students. So it's going to be interesting. It'll be one we talk about for a long time.
Yeah, I definitely will.
In a way, it's exciting. Not the way we want, but it's definitely going to be a rush. Anything else anybody wants to say before we go? Nope. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming today. We'll get this posted on our YouTube channel, but I really appreciate all the great dialogue, and thank you guys for being such active and engaged members of GACRAO. So have a good day, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.